Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we're tackling something that is literally everywhere right now. Artificial intelligence. For those of us tracking AI research over the years, we really need to look at the massive, and I mean massive disconnect between those flashy AI headlines and the very real, very tangible reality of what this tech is actually doing to our world today. We're going to cut right through the sensationalized media hype and separate the science fiction from the cold, hard facts.
Okay, so let's dive into this. A couple of months ago, an AI researcher got what has got to be the weirdest email of her entire career. A complete stranger reached out of the blue to tell her, quote, "Your work in AI is going to end humanity." No way, right? It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie script. But honestly, it perfectly captures the absolute absurdity of our current obsession with these AI doomsday scenarios. We're so fixated on, the singularity and robots taking over that we are completely missing what's happening right in front of our eyes.
So that brings us to Section 1, the doomsday distraction, separating science fiction from tangible facts.
Just to ground ourselves for a second, look at what AI is actually doing in the headlines right now. It's totally wild. On one hand, you've got AI doing amazing things like discovering complex new molecules for life-saving medicines or generating that hilarious viral image of the Pope in a giant white puffer coat. But then, literally on the exact same day, you'll read about a chatbot earnestly advising a man to divorce his wife, or an AI meal planner app trying to be super helpful by proposing a crowd-pleasing recipe that just casually features chlorine gas. Yeah. The reality of AI right now isn't some hyper-intelligent overlord. It's incredibly flawed, it's messy, and look, while nobody truly knows what it's going to look like in 20 years, obsessing over existential risk is a massive distraction from the very real harms occurring right now.
Which leads us straight into Section 2, the hidden climate tossed. AI does not exist in a vacuum.
And this brilliantly illustrates our first major reality check. We always talk about AI living in the cloud, right? It sounds so light, so airy, totally invisible. But actually, scratch that. The cloud is not a cloud at all. It is a massive, heavy, physical infrastructure made out of metal and plastic, and it's powered by vast, staggering amounts of electricity. Every single time you query an AI model, you're triggering a very physical process that comes with a direct cost to our planet.
Let's actually put a number on that. 25 tons. So in a recent study by the Big Science Initiative, 1,000 researchers built an open, ethical, large language model called Bloom. They meticulously tracked its environmental impact, and it turns out just training this one single model used as much energy as 30 homes use in an entire year. That emitted 25 tons of carbon dioxide. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of driving an average car 5 entire times around the planet. And all of that just so someone can log on and ask the model to tell them a knock-knock joke.
But here's where it gets genuinely alarming. Bloom was actively designed to be efficient. When you compare Bloom to other standard large language models like GPT-3, those models emit 20 times more carbon. 20 times! And the scariest part? Major tech companies simply aren't measuring this stuff, and they certainly aren't disclosing it. What we're seeing here is very likely just the tip of a rapidly melting iceberg. Now, what's really interesting here is our current obsession with scale. The prevailing trend in the tech industry right now is basically bigger is always better. But researchers found that when they swapped out a smaller, more efficient model for a massive large language model to perform the exact same simple task, again, like telling that knock-knock joke, it emitted 14 times more carbon.
And these models are only getting bigger. Over the last 5 years, large language models have absolutely ballooned, growing 2,000 times in size. 2,000 times! As we rush to stuff these incredibly carbon-heavy models into our cell phones, our search engines, our smart speakers, and heck, even our refrigerators, the environmental costs are piling up way faster than we can even comprehend.
All right, let's move on to Section 3, the copyright buffet, the unconsented scraping of life's work.
So beyond the planet, AI is heavily impacting human creators. For a long time, it was almost impossible for artists and authors to prove that their life's work was scooped up to train these AI models without their permission. It was like a giant black box. But an organization founded by artists called Spawning.ai created this really incredible tool called Have I Been Trained? It finally gives anyone the ability to peer inside these massive, heavily guarded datasets and actually search to see what AI companies have collected on them.
And the results? Incredibly revealing. When an AI researcher searched a massive, widely used public dataset called Lion 5B for the name Sasha, the vast majority of the results weren't professional portraits, they were images of women in bikinis, which kind of explains exactly why AI image generators heavily sexualize certain names. But on a much more serious legal front, this tool allowed artist Carla Ortiz to find undeniable proof that her entire portfolio of artwork was ingested into these models without a single dime of compensation. Armed with this hard evidence, she and other artists filed a massive class action lawsuit against these AI companies for copyright infringement.
The fundamental truth here is this: artwork created by humans shouldn't be an all-you-can-eat buffet for training AI models. It is absolutely vital that we implement real opt-in and opt-out mechanisms. Creators need to have sovereignty over their own hard work, for sure.
This takes us to Section 4, the black box of bias, encoding stereotypes, racism, and sexism.
Now, this is where the impacts of AI move from the digital realm into some truly devastating, real-world, physical harms. AI models often act like mirrors, just encoding and magnifying our societal stereotypes, racism, and sexism. For instance, Dr. Joy Buolamwini famously discovered that common facial recognition systems wouldn't even detect her face unless she put on a literal white-colored mask. That proved that tech is vastly worse for women of color. And when these biased, black box systems are actually deployed by law enforcement, the results are catastrophic. Just recently, an AI system wrongfully identified a woman named Portia Woodruff. She was falsely accused of carjacking and wrongfully arrested while she was 8 months pregnant. It is completely unacceptable. Actually, I want you to do a quick exercise with me right now. Just listen to this question and answer it in your head. Ready? Picture a scientist in your mind. What do you see? Seriously, visualize it for a second. Okay, chances are, a lot of us immediately pictured a man in glasses wearing a white lab coat. So, the crucial point here is that AI models do exactly the same thing you just did, but at a massive scale. Using a tool called the Stable Bias Explorer, researchers looked at how AI generates images for 150 different professions. And across the board, they found a massive overrepresentation of whiteness and masculinity. Whether you ask for a lawyer, a CEO, or a scientist, the AI spits out white men almost 100% of the time. That is drastically more biased than actual real-world labor statistics. These models aren't just reflecting reality, they're distorting it and actively enforcing stereotypes.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, Tools for Real Change, moving from fear to empowerment.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a framework for real solutions, because we can't fix what we can't measure. But the good news is we are actively developing the tools to fight back. Let's map it out. To measure sustainability, we have Code Carbon, tracking energy use in real time. To fight copyright infringement, we have Spawning.ai, giving artists their power back. And to expose discrimination, we have the Stable Bias Explorer. By deploying these measurement tools, we can create actual, functioning guardrails for society. Step 1. Companies finally have the data to consciously choose models that are sustainable and respect copyright rather than just blindly picking the biggest one. Step 2. Legislators can look at this hard data to write informed, robust laws to govern how AI is deployed in our justice and economic systems. And Step 3. Everyday users like you and me can make informed choices, protecting our data and opting to use AI models that we can actually trust.
So remember that weird email from a stranger about AI ending humanity? Well, the actual reply to it was exactly this. Focusing on AI's future existential risks is a distraction from its current, very tangible impacts. The work we need to be doing, honestly, the work we should have been doing yesterday, is measuring, disclosing, and mitigating the environmental and societal damage happening right now.
AI is moving incredibly fast, but it is not a done deal. We aren't just passengers on this ride, we are the creators. We are quite literally building the road as we walk it. So the question we really have to ask ourselves today as a society is this: what direction will we choose to build it in? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, keep demanding transparency, and I will catch you next time.